Namo Narayanaya, revered Swami Swatmaramanandaji Maharaj, sisters and brothers. It brings me great joy on behalf of the Ramakrishna Centre of South Africa, Johannesburg Centre, Women's Empowerment Committee, to extend a cheerful, warm and cordial welcome to each of you to today's Sri Sarada Devi Women's Power Hour. Swami Vivekananda once said, and I quote, "The best thermometer to the progress of a nation is in the treatment of its women," unquote. The Sri Sarada Devi Women's Empowerment Program was established in 2018 to upskill and empower women from disadvantaged communities. With the guidance and perseverance of revered Swami Swatmaramanandaji Maharaj, a holistic approach was taken in the structuring of the program, ensuring that women were empowered and learned skills for their daily lives. We are now expanding upon our efforts to empower and help women within the ashram family. The Sri Sarada Devi Women's Power Hour is a quarterly program aimed to raise the profile of women to make a difference in society through a series of online discourses addressing topical issues affecting women. For today's program, we are honored to have with us Dr. Usha Vastare, who will deliver an address on the topic Vision to Action. The talk will be followed by an interactive question and answer session. In preparation for the question and answer session, during the talk, please type in your questions in the chat box. The chat box is located at the top right-hand corner of your screen. We would like to make the session more interactive and would appreciate if everyone could kindly have your cameras on and your microphone on mute. Kindly note, we will be recording this session. We will also be live streaming the program on YouTube. Dr. Usha Vastare is the co-founder of the Yogakshema Rehabilitation and Wellness Center. She completed her BSc with chemistry, botany, and zoology as major subjects. She is a rank holder and a gold medalist at Bangalore University. She has a MSc in zoology, specializing in animal physiology, completed with rank from Bangalore University, and her PhD in zoology physiology from Mysore University. Her PhD thesis was nominated for the President's Award. Her postdoctoral research was on aging and cerebrovascular physiology. She was a faculty member at Temple University School of Medicine, Pennsylvania, USA for 17 years. Subsequently, she worked as clinical project coordinator, Parkinson's disease and movement disorder, Pennsylvania Hospital, USA. Dr. Vastare has spent approximately 20 years in basic science and clinical research in the USA. Her research during faculty days included cerebrovascular physiology, research on brain disorders, stroke and spinal cord injury, and her clinical research focused on Parkinson's disease. She has contributed to 5 books and has published more than 70 research papers and abstracts. Her interest is in bringing the latest research in the field of neuroscience and positive psychology, newest field in neuroscience, which deals with happiness and fulfillment of life, to the doorsteps of common people. She is an avid reader of scientific and spiritual literature. Her interest is to bring science and spirituality together for holistic living. I now lovingly hand you over to Dr. Usha Vastare.
Thank you, Kashir. I'm trying to share my screen here. 1 second. Okay. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Thank you. My loving pranams to the Swamijis. My love, respect, and admiration to children of all ages of Sri Ramakrishna, especially the ones at Joburg. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to address the empowerment group at this Power Hour. At a personal level, two messages of our Master, Sri Ramakrishna, resonate with me the most. They are, as long as I live, so long do I learn. And Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva. This ultimate Advaitic message, Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva, has been communicated by Swami Vivekananda as the very purpose of human life, or the fundamental goals of human life. And that is that we are all divine beings. And the goal of life is to manifest this divinity that is already within us. The goal of human life is also to help manifest this divinity in others. The message of Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva of our Master, when communicated in this way, becomes amenable for implementation in our day-to-day lives. All of us, with the common goal of building this temple at Joburg, have set out to achieve these two goals of life that our Master has laid out for us. So this is our time now to make life better for all people through building a temple that will positively influence people's lives for generations to come. While we are on this together as a team and as an organization, we can't forget that when we start out to do the outer work, like building a temple, first, at an individual level, it has to begin within us. That is our inner work. So first, the inner work has to begin, which has to be followed by the outer work. And now we are all at a stage that both these common goal and our inner goal have to go hand in hand. So now we have a goal. All of us have a common goal of building this temple at Joburg. This temple that is being built is not only for us, but also for future generations to come. So I'm going to focus on how to work on our individual goal. The inner goal for each one of us will be different. That is why it is termed individual goal. Our individual goal will be different and has to be different. Our individual goal is based on our socio-educational, economic background and also on what stage we are in our lives. So even though our individual goals are different, there could be commonality in how to work on our individual goal and when to work on our individual goal. Today, in the next 20 minutes or so, I'll focus on the common approach of how to and when to start our individual goal. For this, all we need to remember are just 3 letters, N, O, and W. These 3 letters are represented either as a word now or as an acronym N-O-W. So let us first look at the acronym NOW, which represents the how to work on our individual goal. So first, N of the acronym NOW, which is Neurosculpting. Neurosculpting to be a neurosculptor. So what is neurosculpting? To understand this, let us look into the example of a sculptor. What does he do? A sculptor carves out from a big boulder or a stone all the unwanted pieces of stone to make a sculpture or a statue. A sculptor needs some type of stone, say marble. He also needs tools to carve out or to chisel the marble. He has a particular statue in his mind. And from that big marble, he takes out everything that is not the statue. So in a similar manner, we are the sculptors of our lives. We are the sculptors of our future. Our future, what we want to create is the sculpture, and our brain is the marble. The tools are nothing but our thoughts, our feelings, our belief system, our perception, our memories. By using these tools, the unwanted, hardwired habits like our negative conditioning of our mind are replaced and rewired by newer positive belief systems, including our thoughts, our feelings, our perceptions, to create our own future. Thus, the brain can be reshaped and remolded through a rewiring process called neuroplasticity. So, neurosculpting is a willful, deliberate, intentional, purposeful, determined, structured, yet creative approach for consciously reprogramming our brain for greater awareness to achieve whatever goal that we have set out to achieve for, and to build a future we want for ourselves. So, how do we neurosculpt our brains to become neurosculptors? Our mind keeps on moving like a pendulum, going back and forth between past and future. Our past and our future are only our mental constructs. Whatever comes into our mind, whatever we think, we start believing. Whatever we feel, we start believing. And we believe mostly because they are our own thoughts and our own feelings, and not because they are absolutely true. However, because of our inherent and acquired biases, we remember the things and events that bring us down a whole lot more than the events and things that cheer us up. So, this negative conditioning of the past is affecting the present reality, and we look at the past with regret. Then, how about the future? Even though our future is a great source of power, because of the same acquired and innate biases that are within us, we look at the future with anxiety and pessimism. If so, then how? How about the present? The brain makes decisions in the present based on the memories and based on the biases of the past. Our decisions in the present is influenced by the inherent biases and negative memories and negative conditioning of the past. So, our innate and acquired biases influence our decisions in the present moment. If so, how do we become neurosculptors? The way to become neurosculptors is that we go back to the past. We learn from the past. We should forget the mistake, but remember the lesson. We go to the future. We visualize the future, what we want it to happen. We see it happen in our mind, but we come back to the present and act upon it. In the present moment, we take small steps and act upon it without any fear. So we keep coming back to the present, and we need to drop all the, oh, I should have, or I shouldn't have, and just act upon it. Just keep doing the right thing. Not just thinking about the right thing to do, not just feeling the right thing to do, but actually doing the right thing each time and every time. Let your vision be colossal. Let it be massive. But start small. Take baby steps and start with yourself. What you have inside you is plenty, and you have immense potential within you. As Swami Vivekananda says, believe in yourself first. You can't believe in God until and unless you believe in yourself. He says, all the power is within you. You can do anything and everything. Believe in that, and don't believe you're weak. Stand up and express the divinity within you. So to sum up, neurosculpting is all about getting rid of our old, unwanted, negative beliefs and negative conditioning, and also acting on the positive ones repeatedly over and over and over again until rewiring of the brain happens. So the second part of the acronym now, the O, from onus to privilege. For us to understand this concept, it helps to recollect what Max Planck, a theoretical physicist and a Nobel laureate, said. If we change the way we look at things, the things we look at will change. We can look at the picture either as a vase or as two faces staring at each other. Depending on the perspective, different emotions are triggered. So if we change the way we look at things, the things we look at will change. What do I mean by that? It simply means, can we change the way we are looking at ourselves? Yes, from a spiritual angle, I might say that we all have divinity within us. But for most people, this may not help as it remains as some bookish knowledge. So, can we step down a rung? Can we step down a step for implementation purpose to look at ourselves and to look at what we are doing, to look at what role we are playing from a different perspective? Whatever role we are playing as a mother, daughter, husband, son, or even as a volunteer in this Johannesburg Centre, we tend to think and feel it as our responsibility, that it is our duty that we are playing this role as a parent, sibling, a volunteer, and that we need to fulfill our duties in this role. As a result, we do fulfill our duties and responsibilities from this perspective. And also conversely, sometimes we may feel that we fail to do our duty as a parent, son, daughter, and a volunteer, and may feel bad about it as a result when we cannot fulfill some of our duties. So can we try and change this view from being seen as a duty to a privilege? Of course, responsibility ensues when we look at our role either as a duty or as a privilege. Whether we look at our role from the angle of duty or privilege, we cannot shun away from our responsibility either way. But the same role, same job, same work we do, when looked at as a privilege, how we feel, and therefore the results would be different. In the same way, can we look at ourselves as volunteers of this center as a privilege that has been bestowed upon us? The results would be very different, and the responsibility that goes along will also be seen in a very different manner. This can be best illustrated with the help of a story. That this concept from duty to privilege or from onus to privilege. This is the story of 3 stone cutters. A traveler came upon three individuals working with stone in a remote village. Curious as to what these workers were doing, the traveler approached the first traveler worker and asked, "What are you doing?" Without the slightest hesitation, the first worker replied, "Don't you see? I'm cutting stones. I'm a stone cutter." Still unclear of the worker's task, the traveler approached the second worker and asked the same question. To this, the second worker thought for a moment, gazed briefly at the traveler, and explained, "I'm a stone cutter and I'm cutting stones to earn money to support my family." Amazed by the two different responses, the traveler approached the third worker and asked the same question, "What are you doing?" Stopping for a moment, the worker stared at the stone in his hand, slowly turned to the traveler and replied, "Sir, I am a stone cutter and I am building a temple in this village." He continued further, "As this temple is being built, the village itself will benefit economically, socially, apart from a religious manner. And many people will be benefited, as it will be a place to come together, to worship, to learn our scriptures, to learn, to chant, to sing, and to celebrate various festivals, and to find some calm and peace. This center will also help for us to go deeper, to find answers for our existential questions. And that place itself, the temple itself, will give an impetus for people to come together to share their customs, to share their values, their philosophy and culture. The traveler found his answer. Yes, three stone cutters, all working at the same site, performing the same task, getting the same salary, gave three different answers. None of the answers was incorrect. Each had a different perspective of what they were working toward and what they were working for. The first two stone cutters looked at their work either as a job or as a career. The third stone cutter had changed his perspective towards his work and had identified himself with the higher cause. Can we? Can we be like the third stone cutter? Without doing any extra work, can we make a shift in our perspective and reap the benefits both for ourselves and for others? So when we look at our roles as mother, daughter, husband, son, wife, volunteer, and so on, we can enjoy the role we are playing when we see our roles as a privilege rather than as a duty. So the third and the last aspect of the acronym now, the W. This is very simple and straightforward. All we need to do is to move from wishing something to happen to willing something to happen. What does this mean? You may ask, should we not wish for something to happen? Should we not dream or should we not daydream for something to happen? Oh, yes, we may. We may wish and dream for something to happen, but we cannot remain hoping, wishing, and dreaming something to happen. Rather, we need to act upon our hope. We need to act upon our wishes, and we need to act upon our dreams and will it to happen. It is not about whatever happens will happen and so let it happen. Absolutely not. But believing and willing to happen is to align with a higher purpose, with a higher cause. Willing something to happen is to do our best and leave the rest. Also, to keep on improving our best because each and every one of us has the capacity and capability to do so. And whether we know it or not, each one of us has immense and untapped potential within us. Just two aspects to keep in mind, which are very crucial for implementation. That is, first, to have faith in ourselves. Have tremendous faith in yourself, which helps in unwavering faith in God. Or is it the other way around, as it is for many of us? Have unwavering faith in God, which helps us to have faith in ourselves. You may wonder as to how can we develop this faith in ourselves? It's very simple. If and only if, when we believe in our Master's message, which is nothing but the highest Upanishadic message, that we are all divine beings and we have the divinity that is already within us. If we start believing this without a ray of doubt and with full intellectual conviction, then and only then can we have unflinching faith in ourselves. The second aspect is to be committed and dedicated to our effort, to our goal, both the common goal and the individual goal, until it becomes effortless effort. Swami Vivekananda's quote on Shvetashvatara Upanishad comes to my mind. It says, "Arise, awake, and stop not until the goal is reached. Uttishtata jagrata prapya varanni bodhata." So that completes our understanding about how to reach our different and diverse individual goals by using a common how to approach through following the principles of the acronym N.O.W. And now, no pun intended, let us understand when to start working on our goal. If we are waiting for a perfect time to seriously start working on our goal, like, after the COVID, after my retirement, after I get a stable job, after I make enough money, after I get my son married, or after I finish my responsibility of taking care of my grandchildren. There never is a perfect time, and that perfect time will never come. As we all know, it is like waiting for the waves to subside to take a dip in the sea. That will never happen. This is what we have been told. If so, is there such a thing as perfect time? Is there? I say yes, yes, and yes. Whether we know it or not, there is such a thing as a perfect time. Yes, this is true. It is absolutely true. It is an unequivocal, undisputable, and undeniable truth. If so, when is that perfect time? What is that perfect time? That perfect time, which is common to all of us, is now. Whether we know it or not, all we have is now. Whatever we do, everything we do happens only in the now, the present moment. So all we have is now. And in fact, all we need is now. All we need to do is quite simple. We need to take care of one day at a time. Nay, taking care of one moment at a time is enough, not even one day at a time. Taking care of each moment is enough. That moment, which is common for all of us, is the now, the present moment. And in that moment, we need to do our best, and we need to be doing the right thing in that present moment. Then, and only then, that moment puts us in the best place for the next moment. It is that simple and yet profound. So, as Martin Luther King says, we have all come on different ships, but we are all in the same boat now. And so we are all on this journey together in the same boat to build the temple for the holy trio, not just for ourselves, but for the many more future generations to come. Let us follow the principles of the acronym N.O.W to be neurosculptors and look at our role as volunteers as a privilege that has been granted to us, and feel privileged to be the chosen ones to be a part of building this temple. I'd like to end with Swami Vivekananda's and Holy Mother's quote. The 3H formula of Swami Vivekananda. Let us put our heads together. Let us feel from our hearts, and let us work together with our hands to continue to do our outer work of building the temple. And at the same time, to continue to do our inner work of continuing the future we want for ourselves. And as Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi says, no one is a stranger, my child. The whole world is our own. Thank you.
Om Namo Narayanaya. Thank you,
Yes.
Dr. Vastare, for the insightful presentation. There were many points that really resonated with me, such as being a visionary and being true to yourself. And it all starts with you. Not only are women employees, but they are also parents, sisters, aunties, and we need to be fully present in both our work and our personal settings and honor this privilege. Next up, we have a Q&A discussion. This is a platform where we can voice many important points and discussion topics. Please unmute, state your name and the question you wish to share. Or alternatively, please feel free to post your question in the meeting chat box. Dr. Usha will answer each question before we move on to the next. I now open the floor for questions.
Om Namo Narayanaya, Dr. Usha Vastare.
Yes.
Firstly, I just wanted to say thank you, a heartfelt thank you for that incredible address. I think it really resonated on so many levels, on a personal level, as a mom, as a working woman. I just wanted to ask, you know, as a young woman married with a little boy whose name is Vivek, my pride and joy. um, you know, at different times of the day, we are required as women to wear different caps. It's the cap of an employee, it's the cap of a wife, it's a cap of a mom. How do we find the balance? Sometimes you forget about yourself. You forget to eat, you forget to have a cup of tea. It's trying to juggle everything and find a balance. What advice do you have in order for us as young working individuals to do that?
Yeah, great question, Kashir. When I was your age, doing the same thing as you're doing, I used to think, how can I balance everything? But now I know at this age. So this is what I tell all youngsters like you. Forget about balancing. Because balancing is just with two things. When something is up, the other one is down, right? Or to keep it at bay equally, it is really, really hard, we know. So make a shift in the way you're looking at it. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. Rather than looking at as balancing, look at it as harmonizing. Harmonize your outer work and inner work. Harmonize wearing different caps as a mother, as a professor, as a manager, as a sister, as a wife, as a daughter. Wearing different hats, harmonize. If you make a shift, it is truly helpful. And then we will never ever be able to balance for a length of time. Only for short time periods can we balance. So if we start looking at as harmonizing, it is healthy for us and also healthy for others too, those who are associated with us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vastari. It's such a beautiful way of looking at it. Thank you.
That's certainly a thought-provoking point, and I think many of us can relate to. Dr. Vastari, we have received a question around expectations. How do we manage expectations by applying the concept of vision to action?
Expectation, what does that person mean? Expectation from others or from oneself? Let us see, let me answer this, and then if needed, they can further elaborate the question. Rather than having expectation, like we should actually, maybe it is again looking at it in a different way. Rather than having expectation, it is better to have it as a goal. Expectation, wishing, desire, all of this, I look at it in a similar manner. Rather than that, have small goals, short goals, short term goals, and then small goals to begin with. And then when we have small wins, each and everybody, we need small wins with our small goals. So break that goal into smaller parts and then have small wins. And without our knowledge, those small wins and those small expectations, those small desires, and which are converted into goals, will become a massive, colossal goal later on. Without our knowledge, it happens over a period of time.
Thank you, Dr. Vistari. I see we have another question in our meeting chat box.
Sure.
The workshop is perfectly aimed at those of us with privilege. How will we change this to appeal to people stuck in trauma, addiction, poverty?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is now we need to take that as a responsibility. If we feel we are privileged, we cannot keep it for ourselves. We need to spread the message. That is why I started off with the thought that what is the divinity within us that we need to express? For implementation purposes, it is the goodness within us. If we feel good about ourselves, we also need to make others feel good about themselves. So we need to be spreading this message both for others who are privileged and not as much as privileged. Irrespective of that, if we can understand our master's message, which has been communicated through Vivekananda as our purpose of life is to manifest this divinity within us and to help manifest this divinity in others, then we need to look at each one of us will have many different ways of taking this forward, not just one way, not just 2 or 3 ways of people who are in the committee. Each one of us as a human being, as an individual, as a citizen, as a conscious citizen, as a mindful citizen, can we take this message and help manifest this goodness, this divinity in others too? So that becomes our privilege. Again, let us not just look at it as a duty, but a responsibility that comes out of privilege. That is the only way we can do it. Because there are so many possibilities waiting to happen. As there are number of volunteers, there are as many number, more so many more number of possibilities waiting to happen to spread this message in many different ways and many different formats. Thank you. Thanks for that question.
Thank you for sharing, Dr. Vistari. These are definitely useful tips that can easily be put into practice. Thank you, everyone. That brings us to the end of our Q&A session. You can always send through any questions you still want answered to the ashram email address as shared on the invite. On behalf of the officials of the Johannesburg Centre and the Sri Sarada Devi Women's Empowerment Committee, I note our sincerest and most heartfelt appreciation to Dr. Vistari for her informative session today. I'd also like to thank all participants for joining us on this call and engaging in this session. If I had to reflect back, I think the most amazing thing about women is her resilience against change. With the pandemic and hard lockdown at hand, relationships started taking a strain. For example, GBV, the daily routine of getting ready and going to work, changed to 24/7 working from home. And we still found ways and are finding ways to adapt around all of this. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I really hope that you can practically implement all of the beautiful takeaways from today's session. And lastly, what is growth? Growth is by constantly learning new things. Please take note of the following announcements. If you'd like to be included in our mailing list, then please send an email to johannesburg-phoenix.org.za. Revered Swami Swatma Ramananda conducts the following weekly online classes. Life and Story of Golagna on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. South African Standard Time. The Science of Worship on Mondays from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. South African Standard Time. Viveka Chudamani classes on Tuesdays from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. South African Standard Time. Bhagavad Gita on Wednesdays and Saturdays from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Online Jnana Yoga classes on Thursdays from 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. South African Standard Time. And online Vedanta studies from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda on Fridays from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. South African Standard Time. The Johannesburg Centre has embarked on a milestone project to build an ashrama complex in the name of our great master, Sri Ramakrishna. Despite the delays brought by COVID-19, the centre's application for rezoning was successful and has been duly approved. With this approval, the Johannesburg Centre has prioritized fundraising activities. Kindly let us know of any kind-hearted individuals that will be interested in the project. We do hope that you enjoyed the Sri Sarada Devi Women's Power Hour today. Look out for upcoming sessions next quarter. Through this program, we aim to help women cope with the daily pressures of life. If you have any specific topics that you'd like to be addressed in the upcoming quarterly sessions, then please send these through to us. We will now have a recording of the concluding prayers.
Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavatu Sarvesham Shanti Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet Om Purnamadha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Hari Om Tat Sat बोलो जय श्री गुरु महाराज की जय, जय श्री महामाय की जय, जय श्री स्वामी जी महाराज की जय, जय श्री गंगा मात की जय, जय श्री महावीर स्वामी जी की जय, सर्व ऋषि मुनियन की जय। पार्वती पते हर हर महादेव की जय। ओम नमो नारायणाय।
Once again, thank you for joining and participating in today's session. Stay safe and Om Namo Narayanaya.